So let's talk about sin. It just seems like we ought to talk about sin every now and then. I almost want to go into my southern drawl. When I start talking about sin, it takes me back. You know, there's a lot of stuff we should talk about sometimes around the idea that we get disconnected from that which is the best stuff. The word sin is just, it's a loaded word for a lot of us, because for some of us, especially some of us in this room who push the boundaries sometimes of what, is progressive. That was supposed to be a joke. It didn't come out right. Sin has a history for some of us, because some of us grew up in a place and a time where we had people preaching about sin in a way that kept us feeling like everything we did was wrong. And you had fear. You had a lot of fear involved with that stuff. I want to take that off of this. And whatever associations you have with the idea of sin, I want to take that fear stuff and that shame stuff and put it over here for a moment and just say, don't we all kind of miss the mark sometimes? Don't we all kind of lose our path? Sometimes feel really lost. Sometimes get caught up in the wrong things. Sometimes give our energy to the wrong things, you know? And that's one way to talk about it. It's sin. And in the journeys that we talk about as the spiritual journeys, in the 4 seasons we celebrate the path of saying yes, the via positiva, and the path of letting go, the via negativa. And right now we're celebrating and talking about the via creativa. What is it that in your life you are meant to live out, give birth to? Where is that creative spark in you? In every path of our spiritual lives, there are ways in which we get disconnected from that. And then the via creativa, there's a lot of ways. We can have that which we are meant to give birth to in our lives really be just disconnected, or we shut it down. And I want to talk about that as sin. And the reason I want to talk about it as sin is maybe that's the best way to characterize something that is the most, I think, damaging part of our experience sometimes that prevents us from moving towards that wholeness. In the Gospel of Thomas, there's that piece in the Gospel of Thomas which was unearthed in Nag Hammadi. It's one of those, didn't make it into the Bible texts. But in there, there's one point where Jesus is recorded as saying, if you give birth to what is within you, what you give birth to will save you. But if you don't give birth to what is within you, what you don't give birth to will destroy you. I want to suggest that there is nothing that connects us more with that divine creative energy of the universe than our own sparks of creativity. And if the scriptures are to be trusted, they would suggest that as we are co-creators in this journey, as children of God, this is our birthright. This is maybe the divine living through us, the Holy Spirit moving through us. And what do we do with that? Too often, we cast it aside without thought. We leave the part of us that would be creative and bring some new life to our community and to our families and to our own lives. And we just decide that's not for us. Kind of like the Bob and Evelyn skit. We may have at some moment had a moment of inspiration like Bob and thought, I'm going to be creative. But the world has a different plan for us. We get criticized, we get critiqued. Something about what we wanted to bring forth just wasn't quite perfect. It wasn't quite what other people wanted to see. And guess what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter It's the journey of living out of that creative part of you. Because, see, there's only one choice here. There's only one choice. Are you going to live out of your journey, or are you just going to try to fit in with everyone else's? Are you going to create the life that is yours uniquely and the voice that is yours uniquely to give voice to? Or are you going to live quietly and silently within the rules? Are you going to give over what creativity you have to things that don't really bring wholeness to the world? One of the other great sins for humanity is how we have taken this divine gift of how we are made to be creative creatures and taken that creativity and given it over to destruction rather than creation. It's a sin of our lives and our world. But what destroys us individually, what robs us of that birthright personally, is the way we so easily sometimes sell out our lives, our creative voices, to not make waves, to not be people who stick out, to fit in, to avoid any kind of criticism. It is our most important journey to live from the inside out. That is the gift of a child of God. And so often, we so easily give in to letting the outside dictate the inside. Harry Chapin was one of those people who wrote songs about tuning into the creative life and tuning into what it was that was stealing wholeness from people. And the problem with Harry Chapin was not that he wasn't a brilliant lyricist and one of the great folk singers of our time. He's not in our time now, sorry, of our previous time. But that he wrote songs that were so lyrically complex that they went on for 15 minutes. When I was in college and I was playing music to pay my way through college, playing in the bars of Shreveport, I learned a lot of Harry Chapin's music. And the day he died, I was playing in a bar in Shreveport, and it packed out just in a period of like 30 minutes because people wanted to hear his music. I didn't learn this song because it was too long. And I only sing it today because, for two reasons. One, it's the best words I know on the subject. And number two, I've always wanted to try it. So, we'll see what happens. There's a dance band on the Titanic, singing near my God to thee. The icebergs on the starboard bow, won't you dance with me? There's a dance band on the Titanic, singing near my God to thee. The icebergs on the starboard bow, won't you dance with me? There's a kid out on the corner, hear him strumming like a fool. He's shivering in his dungarees, but still he's going to school. His cheeks are made of peach fuzz, his hopes may be the same, but he signed up as a soldier out to play the music game. He's got fake patches on his jacket, he's used bleach to fade his jeans, with a brand new stay-pressed shirt and some creased and wrinkled dreams. His face a blemished garden, but
his eyes are virgin clear. His voice is chicken little, but he's hearing Paul Revere. And when he catches himself giggling, he forces up a sneer. Though he'd rather have a milkshake, he keeps forcing down the beer. Just another folkie coming down the pike, riding his guitar. He left good brother with his bike. Now there's Dylan dripping from his mouth. He's hitching himself way down south to learn a little black and blues from old street men who paid their dues. Because they knew they had nothing to lose, they knew it. So they just got to it with cracked old Gibsons and red clay shoes, singing 1-4-5 chords like good news. With skin that cursed and called for blood, that put their face and feet in mud. But oh, they learned music from way down there. The real ones learn it somewhere. Strum your guitar, sing it, kid. Just write about your feelings, not the things you never did. An experience, once it cursed me, but your youth is no handicap, it's what makes you thirsty. Oh, kid, you know you can hear your footsteps as you're kicking up the dust. And the rustling in the shadows tells you secrets you can trust. The capturing of whispers is the way to write a song. It's when you get to microphones, the music can go wrong. You can't see the audience with spotlights in your eyes. Your feet can't feel the highway where the Learjet flies. When you ride in silent splendor in your padded limousine, only you are hiding there behind the silver screen. Now you battle dragons, but they're all turned into frogs. When you grab the wheel of fortune, you get caught up in the cause. We're about halfway there. When I started this song, I was still 33, the age that Mozart died and sweet Jesus was set free. Keats and Shelley too soon finished, Charlie Parker would be. I fantasized some tragedy would soon curtail me. Well, just today I had my birthday. I made it 34. Mere mortal, not immortal, not star-crossed anymore. I've got this problem with my aging I no longer can ignore. A tame and toothless tabby can't produce a lion's roar. And I can't help being frightened on these midnight afternoons when I ask the loaded questions. Why does winter come so soon? And where are all the golden girls that I was singing for? The daybreak chorus of my dreams serenades no more. Yesterday's collar that has settled round my waist, today keeps slipping ever true? Am I just a fading fire, or breeze passing through? Hello, my country. I once came to tell everyone your story. Your passion was my poetry, and your past my most potent glory. Your promise was my prayer. Your hypocrisy, my nightmare. Are we both going somewhere? There's a dance band on the Titanic singing near my gut to icebergs on starboard bow. Won't you dance with me? Well, I got up this morning and I don't need to know no more. It evaporated nightmares that had boiled the night before. 'Cause with every new day's dawning, my kid climbs in my bed, tells the cynics of the boardroom, your language is dead. And as I wander with my music through the jungles of despair, my kid will learn guitar and find a street corner somewhere. And there she'll make the silence listen to the dream behind the voice, and show her minstrel Hamlet daddy that there only was one choice. Oh, strum your guitar, sing it, kid. Just write about your feelings, not the things you never did. An experience once it cursed me, but your youth is no handicap, it's what makes you thirsty. Oh, strum your guitar, sing it, kid. Just write about your feelings, not the things you never did. There's a dance band on the Titanic singing near my gut to me. The icebergs on starboard bow. Won't you dance with me? You wanna stand up and sing it with me? There's a dance